America needs a tidal wave of the old-time religion.
I have sinned against you.
How dare you!
We have no need to doubt God.
The heart of Babylon is preparing the nations to receive the Antichrist.
I didn't even build that house with money from the church. I built it with money from my book.
I don't make this stuff up.
Repenting of your sin.
It is a moral issue.
They got together and swore a pact to the devil.
I just enjoy seeing people worship, praising God.
Hey everybody, and welcome to
Believe It
or Not,
the show where we believe it.
Or
didn't we?
Did one.
Not today, Satan. Yep.
On the day of recording this, it's International Puppy Day.
Is it?
Or Dog Day.
Right.
Yeah. Why isn't there's an International Dog Day, but no International White Males Day?
Whoa. Wow, that's true. I don't know if I
could. Worst take.
I mean, they got a day for everything. Why don't
true.
they got a day for white males? Is what you're saying,
true.
right?
Yeah,
like they got Donut Day.
Yeah.
Why don't they got straight white male day?
And why is there no straight pride parade?
That's true. Isn't that just a parade?
Yeah, that's just most parades. Yeah.
Well, no, because parades are for everybody.
That's true. Yeah.
So that argument, yes. But no.
Yeah. But I mean, like, if you look at most parades, and we'll get into our topic in a second here, but a lot of them have fire trucks. And if you think about, like, who has calendars of firemen without their shirts on in their place? Straight men.
Right.
Because they're very proud and thankful for all the work that these shirtless firemen do.
True.
Every day.
Well, that's the thing, though. Firemen have been sexualized for years.
Yeah.
By everybody.
Yeah,
and I don't think that's fair.
No.
I think we need more ugly, unfit firefighters.
Mm-hmm. With funny little hats. They always got those cool hats. Let's get them funny little hats.
And of course, ugly is subjective. So
yeah, it's true.
But I mean one that, like, undoubtedly, like, not even a mother would love.
Yeah.
Firefighters.
That's true. And get them a calendar.
Yeah. And if you don't buy it, you're probably an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And true. You love buildings burning down.
Yeah. It's just the facts.
It's paying for their new hoses.
Yeah. But speaking of hoses and the earth flooding from water from the hose.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Moses or Noah left the tap running?
Have you seen Class of 07?
No.
Oh, it's so good.
What's this?
I watched it all in one sitting. All season 1 is out now. It's a show it's a high school reunion. Mm-hmm. Their high school, though, was on top of a mountain in Australia.
Oh,
and
okay.
While they're in the high school reunion, the earth is flooded, like Noah's Ark.
Oh.
And all of a sudden, their mountaintop school is a deserted island. And it's just like them. It was all girls school, too. So it's just like a bunch of women.
I see why you watched
who hated each other. Yeah, it's super sexy. Who hated each other in high school.
Yeah. And now they have to get along to survive?
To survive, yeah.
Where did you watch this?
It's on Prime. Amazon Prime.
Oh.
Yeah. Heard of it?
I have it, but I don't really watch anything. I'm very bad at using my subscriptions.
Same.
I just have them, and I'm like, I finally canceled my Netflix.
Oh, yeah, I have. I set a reminder to cancel Paramount Plus a couple times, and then I haven't. And then I saw a trailer for something that looks good on it.
Well, listen, I still want to watch the new season of I Think You Should Leave.
Yeah.
I'll get it for the month. I'll watch that.
Just come over here.
I could do that, too.
Or I'll just tell you about it. I'll watch it, tell you all about it.
That sounds like the worst day of my life.
That'd be like when we were roommates all over again when I'd come out of my
At least
room.
I'd seen it.
Yeah. That's true.
Being referenced when you've seen it, you're like, okay, we're both in on it.
Yeah.
But just being referenced and you don't know what the fuck someone's talking about, and then you just get like a weird half retelling of it, you're like, no, just don't. I'd rather not know anything.
Yeah.
I'd rather be dead.
Same. But speaking of the world flooding, there was a story in the Bible about Noah.
I've heard of it.
And then after the ark landed, Noah
landed
on a mountain, Ararat. He built himself a vineyard, and he drank some wine, and he got a little toasty. He got a little drunk and started wandering around naked.
Oh, I've heard this. Yeah, he got butt ass naked.
And then one of his sons, Ham, laughed at him. So God said, "Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants. He shall be to his brothers." And then he also said, "Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem, and may Canaan be his servants. May God enlarge Jephthah. May he live in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant." So this is obviously something written later when they're like, we hate the Canaanites, so we're going to say that God cursed them. But, you know how people are. Eventually, when America had its slavery, they used this verse to say that actually it was talking about black people.
Right. Yes, I have heard this before. I've heard this argument before.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty funny that the whole thing is based around someone laughing at their naked dad being drunk. I feel like, if anything, this just sounds like it was a defense mechanism. Like, he didn't know how to like, how would you react if you saw your drunk dad dancing around naked?
Yeah, I don't know. It's been a while. But
I feel like I'd be shocked. I think laughter is a reasonable kind of like surprised.
Yeah.
You know, like,
oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we should not have opened a vineyard.
Yeah, and I also get it from Noah's perspective too, because
he just wanted to get shit-faced.
He wanted to get shit-faced.
Yeah.
The world had pretty much ended.
Yeah.
And also, sometimes when you drink, it's a little clothy. And you're like, man, is it clothy in here?
Well, you get overheated, and, you know, you got to cool off somehow.
Exactly.
But also, why is God getting mad at the guys? Like, shouldn't he be mad at Noah for getting shit-faced and naked?
He got mad at the one son, and then the other sons were like, oh, we'll cover him up, and it's fine.
It's pretty bad that laughing is worse than being hammered, drunk, and naked. Because I'm going to say, in today's society, it's the opposite.
And
Yep.
Yep.
You can't get drunk and naked anywhere
Nope.
except your own home. And even then, depends.
Yeah. And then, so it was used for many years. This guy by the name of James Henley Thornwell was a pastor, and in the 1800s, and so through, the Civil War and everything, and then after the Civil War still, he's like, no. Oh, wait, when did the Civil War end? 1865?
I couldn't tell you, my friend.
Okay. So, I guess during the Civil War, he said,
probably sometime in there.
as long as that African race, it's in parentheses, so I don't know what he actually said, race, in its comparative degradation, coexisted side by side with the white. Bondage in its normal condition. Thornwell was a slave owner, and then he said the relationship of master and slave stands on the same foot with other relationships in life, or relations of life. So he took that.
Right.
He was a preacher who was like going around saying it's okay to own slaves, even if you're a Christian. And he also used the New Testament and a lot of people at this time did as well, use the New Testament where it says where Paul says that slaves obey your masters. And that they took that to be an endorsement of slavery. And now I want to point out too that we have done an episode before about the Christian and slavery, but I wanted to focus, bring it to racism, and we'll talk more about how it's spread to today. But
fair. What's the context again of the slaves obey your masters line? What is the greater context of that?
Of things that you're supposed to do to like show how godly you are to other people around you. So basically, if you're a wife, you're supposed to submit to your husband. If you're a servant, or a slave, you're supposed to obey your master. Like any kind of position of authority, you're supposed to do it to the glory of God. It's still shitty.
I mean,
it is shitty.
I don't want to be like offensive, but it just sounds like it wants you to be a bitch.
Yeah. And not in a derogatory sense, but
but you know what I mean, right? Like it just wants you to be like, it just wants you to shut up, and obey, and that's not okay. How is that being godly? That just sounds like you're being weak, and just allowing shit to happen to you.
Exactly.
But I guess that's what they want, right? Yeah. Also, too, when you were saying about when it said African in parentheses, it was because it didn't have the context there, so they put it in there to delineate what they're referring to in there.
Right.
So.
Because he says that race. But
so he would have said as long as that race, but it's saying they're referring to the African race here.
Yes, true. Yeah. And then, so there's been a lot of Christians throughout the years who were abolitionists and were fighting against slavery.
Right.
But they were going against other Christians. So a lot of people will identify with like, oh, well, I would have been on this side or whatever. But it did, even early on, the Quakers and the Shakers are famous for being abolitionists, but they had to be convinced. Like Quakers had slaves. And then it was like an inner struggle within the church of people being like, no, yes, no, and then they're fighting back and forth, probably using the ham, curse of ham. And then this guy named Benjamin Lay would protest outside of each church service by standing in the snow in bare feet to show like how you're treating your slaves, and then we're supposed to treat others as we would want to be treated ourselves.
Yeah, which is amazing that the mental gymnastics that people go through to try and justify owning people.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And I understand why it's in the Bible times and why it's referred to it, because there was definitely a lot of different instances of it. And I'm sure they were just like, we need to talk about this with what's happening in the world.
And it's like, there's a lot of times where people like argue for slavery in the Bible and say, well, it was just the context of its time or whatever, as in like, which is true.
Yes.
But also, you can't claim then that it's a divine book. You can't claim that it's from heaven if it's being okay with...
It's either from its time or it's timeless.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And then, when slavery ended, it's not like racism ended. So
it didn't?
No. Weird, eh? And then segregation, when that's happening, again, it's a head-to-head of people saying, like, segregation's bad or segregation's not bad. And it's Christians who are divided again. And then this one fella, a pastor named Henry Lyon Jr., in 1961 said, ladies and gentlemen, for 15 years I've had the privilege of being a pastor of a white Baptist church in this city. If we stand 100 years from now, it will still be a white church. I am a believer in separation of the races, and I am nonetheless a Christian. And the crowd friggin' applauded and said, good for you, good buddy.
Did Jesus ever say anything about that?
I mean, you could argue Jesus was a bit racist, because he did say, I came for the Jews first, and then the rest. Or he did like, I guess I'll help a Samaritan. And then he also told the story of the Good Samaritan, which is kind of offensive.
Was that
itself.
A spin-off of The Good Doctor?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's spin-off. Yeah.
The
Good Samaritan. Because there's the Good Lawyer now, right?
Oh, is there?
Then, yeah.
Is he also?
She, I think.
Oh, she. Are they also?
I just saw a teaser, so I don't know.
Is he? He's on the spectrum?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
That's what it is.
Is this lawyer also on the spectrum?
I think so. Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Okay.
I've only saw a quick teaser. Maybe it's not even related.
Maybe.
Because it's not like The Good Wife is about an autistic wife.
Oh, it should be.
Yeah.
It's the whole good universe.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. That's wild.
Yeah. So his church had over 3,000 members, too. So it was, yeah. And, but then the thing is, what's his name? Billy Graham?
Yep.
He was against segregation, and he did, speak out against it. But, I mean, obviously he's famous for saying negative things about the Jews in the secret recording. But also he took less of a stance when he was in southern states, because he didn't like being too divisive.
Yep.
And he was very wishy-washy depending on where he was, because his thing was all like, well, it's about the gospel first.
So it's almost like he probably didn't actually believe it, and he was just using whatever is going to get him the most attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that kind of what it is?
And he had, so we had Martin Luther King Jr. speak at one of his rallies at Madison Square Gardens, but he wouldn't fully endorse him. So he's like, I like him. I like some of the stuff he does, but we don't agree on everything. So he wouldn't fully embrace the civil rights movement, but he had seedlings of believing or saying he believed in what they're doing, but not a fully support thing.
Right. I mean, yeah. Okay.
Which I think is something you see a lot now with churches who talk about Black Lives Matter.
Right.
A lot of churches are very outspoken against Black Lives Matter. And then other ones will be like, well, I like some of the principles. I just think the organization is bad or whatever.
Yeah, I've heard that argument a lot too.
Yeah, but I think that Black lives do matter. That's my stance on it.
Well, I'm glad we clarified that.
Yeah. Also, the Second Great Awakening, we're going back and forth here, was way before the segregation. But that caused a lot of Christians to become abolitionists. But at the same time, they were like abolitionists as far as like we shouldn't own slaves. But also like, but once we don't own them, we're not going to give them rights.
No. They have to figure that out themselves.
Yeah. So they were very much like, and Lincoln was the same way, where it's like, yeah, they shouldn't be slaves, but they are inferior. Like it was very, he was still very racist.
Well, I mean, they've always been that way. Like they're still that way with like, not to like equate the two, but I feel like pro-life is a very similar thing where it's just like, no, we care about this issue, but then as soon as they're born, they don't care about this issue. Yep. And the same kind of things. Like we care about your freedom, but then as soon as you have, it's like, we don't care about your freedom.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah. And,
they're only going halfway.
Yeah. Yeah. And Martin Luther King once said that the Sunday morning is the most segregated time of the week. So like all over the country and all over the world, churches are segregated. And that's still the case today. Like
churches are still segregated?
Churches are still very segregated. A lot of churches, not every church obviously, but like a lot of times there's the white church and there's a black church. And they wouldn't say it anymore that, hey, this is just a white church, but that's the way it works out. There was a pastor I was reading about in Sheffield in the UK who resigned because he realized that when he started the church, he wanted it to be multicultural. And then eventually it was there wasn't a lot of white people, so he started pushing for more white people. So he would like have all the ads for the church, like the flyers and stuff, only have white people in it. And he only wanted people on stage who were white because he just wanted to attract more white people, because he thought it would be like it's not multicultural if there's barely any white people. And then he's like, somebody called him out on it for being super racist, and he's like, oh, yep, that's super racist, and he resigned and moved back to Australia.
Wow.
Yeah, but I mean, at least he admitted it, but still, like, don't be super racist. Yeah. A survey conducted in 2018 said that Christians are 30% more likely to say that monuments of Confederate soldiers are symbols of Southern pride rather than symbols of racism. And 20% more likely to disagree with the statement. Generations of slavery and discrimination have created conditions that make it difficult for blacks to work their way out of lower class. And
see, my issue with that distinction between the two, of it being Southern pride rather than racism, is a lot of the people that they're having this Southern pride in were huge racists who did really terrible racist things.
Yeah.
And that's the issue that normal people have.
Yeah.
Like, we get it. Maybe I don't know. Is it this that people don't want to have to confront their terrible past and be like, oh yeah, those guys that we used to look up to were bad people.
Yeah. Yeah, people, like, they're like, well, look at all this good stuff he did. It's like, yeah, but he also fought to keep slaves.
But also, like,
and like,
why do you fucking care about a statue? Who gives a shit? I mean, it's the same thing, they're saying, like, they're getting rid of Christmas. You can't say Merry Christmas anymore. I was like, you can.
Yeah.
You can still talk about these people. They're still there. It's just in public spaces where more than just you exist.
Yeah.
And, some people who see this and think like, oh, this is the guy who caused generations of trauma for millions of people and my family.
Yeah.
Of course I don't want to go to the park and have to look at this fucking asshole.
Exactly. And like the whole argument where it's like, well, if you take down the statue, you're erasing history.
No, you're not.
No,
you're not.
We still have history books.
Okay, so how about this? Why don't we put up a statue of Hitler in the park right now?
Well, because you have to, because otherwise you're erasing history. So,
I'm German.
Yeah.
It's my history.
Yeah.
And I'm proud to be German.
And
if you say otherwise, you're a fucking racist.
And my uncle tried to kill Hitler.
Really?
He didn't get very far.
I had to fight your uncle.
Oh. So let's see. 88% of Protestant churches agree that they should strive for racial diversity, but that's also a very vague statement.
Yeah.
Because 76% of Protestant pastors surveyed said that their church is predominantly one racial or ethnic group.
Right.
So it's like 88% want it, but 76% don't have it. There's also like, okay, so 29% of pastors surveyed said that critical race theory poses a bigger threat to Christianity than racism.
Oh, suck my ass. Like, fuck these people. They don't know what critical race theory is. They have no fucking clue. They think, and it's not even something that is really talked about.
No.
It's not a thing that most people are going to encounter. It's not really taught in schools for children, first of all.
Yeah.
So shut the fuck up.
It's culture war fear-mongering. Like, it's like an invisible enemy because it doesn't exist. Like, yeah, there was one protest where recently, I think it was Walter Matthau. What's his name? A really great guy. I'll put the name on the screen, but he does a lot of like trolling of things like that. Right. Matheson, maybe? Matty Matheson? No. But he went to this one like school board meeting with like just a really nice group of people on the school board, and then a bunch of people just angry that they were teaching critical race theory.
Right.
And they're like, but we have a little unit in social studies about diversity. Like, it's not it's not a thing.
But I mean, Pete, that's what the religious, well, I don't want to say religious right, but the religious right, that's what they do, though. Like, they did the same thing in Ontario a few years ago with the sex ed curriculum.
Yeah.
Where the whole thing was like, we don't want to teach our kindergarten kids about gay people. And it's just like, that's not, well, first of all, that's not what the curriculum is.
Yeah.
The curriculum starts out in kindergarten, and it's a progressive thing that starts with teaching consent.
Yeah.
Like no means no, things like that. It's not like, oh, they're in kindergarten, let's teach them about anal sex and, making sure to wear a condom.
That's at least third grade.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, that's what it was. And then also, why shouldn't we teach kindergarten children about gay people? That's
exactly.
They're fucking people.
Yeah. Like,
so
we teach them about straight people all the time. So, yeah.
That aside, a big thing about it, and what I heard at the time was that a lot of like church communities were pushing that. It was like, we shouldn't be teaching this. And they were pushing a lot of like immigrant communities and a lot of like heavy religious communities that this is bad for the children and everything without actually talking about what the curriculum was.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course the congregations are going to listen to that because that's their kind of touch point of, what's happening in the world and in their community without actually doing any research of themselves, whether or not they necessarily can or will do that. Right. Yeah. And it's the same kind of thing with critical race theory.
Yeah.
Where it's people who don't know what they're talking about, but they're being told by their people who should be who are in a place of authority for them, just total misinformation.
Yeah. And that now the word is woke. The word that everybody's afraid of is woke. It's like constant like, what's the boogeyman this week?
Yep.
Like the woman who was talking about wokeness on the news, and someone was like, "Can you just define that?" And she totally dissolved.
It's buzzwords.
Yeah.
It's what can they rally people behind and get them mad at, so you're not actually focusing on the real fucking issues.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
It's a smokescreen.
Exactly. And then, Black Lives Matter, like we talked about, was another thing. Pastors just going on stage, just trying to destroy George Floyd's character and, like, things like that where...
Yeah, a guy who was fucking murdered by the police and stuff like that. Yeah, like, what are you doing? Why? What are you fucking doing?
Yeah, exactly. And I find, like, because I watch a lot of sermons for fun, but... a lot of times, even when they have a Black Lives Matter stance,
right?
A lot of times but also there's really good police, and also yes, we need some police reform, but also there's a lot of really good cops out there, and blah blah blah.
I don't buy that.
Yeah. It's I'll call you a cab.
Mm-hmm. Always carry a Bible.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, and then a big thing a lot of people talk about, I think I should have written down, I think I got this from the Times, but they were talking about, or Time Magazine, sorry. They were talking about the theology of inaction. And that's something that's been going on for a long time where, like Billy Graham said, it's about the gospel, right? It's a great way to get out of any difficult conversation when it comes to race or any sort of social justice issue, is we say, the main line is we got to tell people about Jesus and show the love of Jesus. It's like, yeah, maybe the best way to show the love of Jesus is to help stop racism.
Yeah. Well, my thing about this, sorry, I'm just kind of peeking over at your thing. We're saying working for racial justice and contrast may be seen as a political issue. Then maybe you should get out of fucking politics, you fucking assholes. Stop trying to railroad your ideals into the political discourse.
Yeah.
Stop pumping money into your politicians and your lobby groups so you can get your hateful, discriminatory, and just like damaging views put across. The fact that we are having new abortion bans going on and they are limiting LGBTQ plus rights, and the fact that a big issue is fucking drag story hour. Like, what is wrong with you people?
Yeah, exactly. And even like, was it Tennessee where they're passing that law, or they're trying to get a law that just takes one district that is a mostly minority, mostly black district, and trying to make it so that in that district, judges are appointed by the government. Every other district, it's by voting. Like it's
really
democratic, but they're trying to pass a bill that just for they're calling it the new Jim Crow. Like it is.
Yeah, they're fucking redlining them here. Like what the hell?
Yeah. Like
I hadn't heard about that.
Racist, and I mean a lot of the voter suppression laws that they're trying to pass now are blatantly racist.
Oh God, so much of it is, yeah,
and a lot of it is supported by Christians. Like it's,
The sad part is like, again, I think it is because their churches tell them like, well, this is the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, and so much of it is also too like it's like, well, if they just did this, then they'd be fine. It's just like if you get pulled over by a cop, it's like just do what they say and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Well, what about all the people who did do what they say and then they ended up dying?
Yeah, like the one guy, because they're like, well, if you have a gun in your vehicle, just let them know. But that one guy, he's like, just so you know, I have a license to carry. It's in my glove compartment. And
that
they shot him, like immediately.
There was a video about that recently about a guy who was saying that he had a gun in his thing, and then the cop got nervous and pulled a gun on him too. Like that. This happens every day.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know what you want. Like you can do all the right things and still be killed. So no wonder they're not going to want to do those good things. Why would you respect authority? Why would you think that these people are on their side when we just hear countless stories about how these people aren't on their side?
Yeah.
Serve and protect is a slogan. It doesn't mean anything. That is not what they're there to do.
Yeah.
They're there to protect property and the interests of business owners.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
And if you think that they're there for anything else, you're deluding yourself.
Exactly. Well, it's like when we did the episode about slavery, somebody pointed out in the comments that like slavery hasn't been abolished in America.
No. The prison system is still a huge it's insane.
Yeah. And the prison system is predominantly black because of racism. And they can still be slaves. So it's insane.
Well, the big problem there, exactly. It's all because first of all, the big problem is you have for-profit prisons, which is bananas.
Yeah.
If you think about it, like if you actually genuinely cared about justice and you cared about rehabilitation and things like that, you would not have a for-profit prison. No. It's the same reason we shouldn't. Everything's just kind of tying together. It's the same kind of things where we're getting into. There's a lot of issues in Ontario right now where they're talking about privatizing healthcare, which is fucking nuts.
Yeah.
And I hate Doug Ford. I hate what he's doing. I hate everything that he's trying to pass because all it's doing, it's dismantling our social services. Yeah. It's weakening us as a province, and it's ruining our future. And the fact that the federal government doesn't seem to be able to do anything about it is also crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like you're same thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm getting upset about this now.
Oh, yeah. And voting, I think, is so important, too.
I agree.
Yeah, like the fact that barely anybody voted in the last provincial election.
That's what pisses me off so much, too, is because I have been voting and I have been paying attention to this. And the fact that you see the numbers are so low, it's so easy to just feel like how futile it is. But then you hear so many people complain about it. It's like, well, did you vote?
Yeah.
Did you get out there and fucking do something?
Yeah.
Then shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Because it's because of you, and you say, well, I didn't think it would matter. It's like, well, it does matter. You not going out there makes it worse for everybody.
Yeah.
You not voting is making a choice, and that choice is to allow pieces of shit to get into office and do terrible things that hurt other people.
Yeah. When my friend was a pastor, I was there at the service, but it was so funny because he was on stage and he was talking about something different, but then he used voting as an analogy. But he goes, "Well, it's like they say, if you don't vote, you can't bitch." And then immediately realized what he said and was not allowed to speak at church for like a year.
I think it's a great point. I agree with it, but maybe not the right place to say it.
Yeah.
But
he's not a pastor anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
He was a pastor in the past.
Yeah.
Past pastor.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm working on a video now. It might be out by the time this comes out. It might be out shortly after this comes out. But that's what kind of sparked this for me. Is just like there's so much racism that I wanted to talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this ties into about the video about mission trips, and I think that's another
fair.
thing. The like racism in mission trips is like, woo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's that white saviorism. It's disgusting. Yeah. Any other thoughts on race?
I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things that we can only do so much, and all we can really do is listen and try to understand and do our best to support people in these things. Because again, we are very, very white.
Yeah.
So
allyship and
that's all we can really do. And it's tough because we really have no true sense of the scope of it and how it affects people's lives on a daily basis, and how it's still so present. And we talked a lot about the U.S. where it is a lot of race relations, especially between like white and black Americans, but we have it in Canada too.
Yeah.
I mean, huge problems. This also in the States, but a big problem with Indigenous communities in Canada, and just like the barbaric treatment that our government has been given to them since Confederation, since before then. Like the Royal Canadian Mounted Police were basically founded to, keep their thumb on them, and to corral them into their, way of doing. So
what's that thing? Is it called the Moonlight Stroll or Moonlight Walk or whatever? It's I believe in Regina.
Yeah.
Police were taking, if they'd arrest a First Nations person, instead of just bringing them and booking them, they would just drive them out in the winter to the middle of nowhere, no jacket, and just leave them there.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
To walk it off.
Yeah, fuck that.
And then so many people have just died from.
Of course they did.
Racist police. Yeah.
So it's still very present today.
Yeah.
Everywhere, in different forms. So yeah. Don't delude yourself that it's not.
Nope. Yeah. Keep finding and and we're gonna miss the mark.
And vote.
I'm sure we missed the mark on a few things here.
100% we did.
So
we're doing the best that we can with the information we have, and we're trying to be understanding. Yeah. It doesn't always work out, but that's also why we're willing to listen. We're willing to hear opposing views and to change what we've said based on that. Yeah. What comes towards us as well.
Yeah, exactly. And also, you guys think that my editing's getting better with making it look like me and Damien are in the same room? Like, it's crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I'm in Cuba right now.
It's nuts.
I had to flee the country.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Tax fraud.
Who hasn't?
I wish.
Speaking of fleeing the country, should we thank our Patreons?
We should thank our patrons on Patreon.
Yeah, Patreon patrons.
Patreon patriots.
Oh my God! Wow! Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Hey everybody, welcome to our Bible study.
Thank you so much for coming today. Today we're going to study book 4 of the Bible.
Jenny's book.
Jenny's book. Is it Jenny's book?
Yeah, I think it's called, no, that's Genesis, Exodus, Mexico's.
Yeah.
Duet Run on Me.
Yeah.
Duet.
Do it, Ron, on me.
Run a train
Do
on
it
me.
with Ron. Do a train on me.
And then,
Jenny's book, huh?
Jenny's book.
Right.
And then we got the Book of Ruth.
Right.
Bader Ginsburg.
Yeah, Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yeah. So they're all in there. All the injustices.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
I thought, and then book 3, Return of the King.
Yeah. And then you got the Return of the Swing, which is
the sex swing that they bought.
Yeah.
But they kept it in the closet for a few years, and they're like, let's bring it back.
Yeah. I have the receipt. I know it was barely used.
I more meant bring it back out to try and use it again.
I thought you meant to the store, like a barely used sex swing.
It's like the world's shortest status story, pair of baby shoes never worn. Or for sale, baby shoes never worn. That's what it is.
That's sad. Yeah.
But back to the Bible study.
But let's lift up some people in prayer.
Let's lift them, praise them, and raise them. We'd like to thank our good friends, Ruth and Aiden, and who could forget, Joe de la Biblioteca.
De la Biblioteca.
Joe.
The Biblioteca.
It was like a mild JoJo reference. Not a very good one, but
no. Oh yeah, we were going to try to put those in more episodes. Yeah.
That's why I thought I'd slip one in, and I wore my Junji Ito shirt today too. Perfect. So there we go. So I'm trying.
And I'm doing for my favorite show from Doctor Who, where the Doctor is who.
But we still have some very special thank yous for our Bible study.
I want to give a huge prayer for DPEJ, which is a beautiful name. I think your parents chose wisely when naming you. And but I just want to lift you up. I want to lift up DPEJ, and I just want to say that they've been trying to be very holy. They've been reading about holiness, and they're like, I want to be more holy. But they're a little confused on what that means, so they bought a hole punch, tried to use that didn't work, and then they tried to drill, but it hurt, and I don't think it should be hurt that much to be holy. So it's been a journey to holiness. So I pray. I should talk to them and just say, hey, that's not how you do it, but instead I'm going to pray for them. Yeah.
Right. Pray. And I have one for our friend Henley. Henley, we were at the church. We were drinking some lemonade. It was a great day.
Yeah.
And I'd cut myself a little bit, and I had a Band-Aid on. And we were just talking, and I was saying, I got to get rid of this. And Annalie told me, it's like, you just got to rip the Band-Aid off. You just got to rip it off. You know?
Yeah.
You just got to rip it off. And usually I do it very slowly because I'm a big baby, and that's what I did. But I ripped it off, and it wasn't quite healed enough, and I kept nicking it all day, and I got lemonade juice in my cut. So I just want to say, Annalie, can you please just, before you suggest ripping the Band-Aid off, make sure that the wound underneath is healed.
Yeah. And I think Annalie was referring to you quitting your job.
Yeah, that's true. That is what they were talking about, but I was deflecting.
Right. Oh.
And I made it about the literal Band-Aid that I had on.
And that makes sense.
So, Annalie, thank you for your support, but not thank you for confusing me.
Amen.
Amen.
And should we do a Christian rock lyric?
I want to hear it.
Can't you see you're not making Christianity better? You're just making rock and roll worse.
I Googled on the internet of songs about Christian rock songs about racism.
Okay.
I read the lyrics and I was like, this isn't really about racism. And then I realized that it's because the music video, there's a lot of like protest stuff going on in the background. Okay. And it reminded me of that Pepsi commercial with Caitlyn Jenner.
Is that who it was?
No, Kylie Jenner.
Yeah. Where she solved racism with Pepsi.
Yeah. Yeah, which reminded me.
I kind of want a Pepsi now.
When I was working at the restaurant, and someone was like, "Is the Black Lives Matter protest still this Saturday?" Like, it was a coworker, not a customer.
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, they solved it."
Because of the Pepsi commercial?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, Kylie Jenner did the thing, and then now it's fine. And yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But this song is called It's Not But God.
It's not But God?
It's But God.
Are you sure it's not But God? Who is this by? Like Nicki Minaj or something?
Nicki Minaj featuring Cardi B. But God.
But God.
No, this is by a guy named John Waller. But God. But God.
But God. I don't want to go to church.
I don't want to be a but God. But the song goes, I see darkness. They're getting darker. All hell is breaking loose. I see chaos all around us. So, Lord, I cling to you. No matter if I'm surrounded by the devil and 1,000 men in the middle of the darkest hour when I stand no chance. But God is my fortress. I will not be shaken. Though I am surrounded, I will not be forsaken. God is my shield and praise is my weapon. In the face of impossible odds, I will say, but God. I won't let my heart be troubled because I know we'll overcome because he told us in this world, there are battles. There are battles and trials.
Trials.
And then it goes on like that. And it makes me wonder, is but God... when he uses the imagery of the protests and stuff, are they the things that are surrounding him? Or is that the devil and 1,000 men? Is it the protesters, or is it the cop? Whose side is he on?
I think we should have but God. I was saying we should have shirts that say "But God" and have a picture of God with big juicy cheeks.
We should, and like a thong.
Yeah, like he's like looking over his shoulder, like and he's just got a big butt.
I have been wanting to get
God
new
with
merch.
a beard and a hair. Yeah, that'd be a good one.
But God.
If anyone wants to draw us a butt God, maybe we should do a butt God contest.
Oh, we should. That's not a bad idea. Butt God contest.
Draw us your butt God.
Like a free shirt and like a other prize.
Yeah.
Some other prize. Yeah. Mm-hmm. An original painting by me.
I was gonna say this song started up pretty metal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I see darkness. They're getting darker. All hell is breaking loose. I see chaos all around us. I'm like, yeah, let's fucking burn it down. And then it was just like, but God is here to protect me.
Yeah.
Oh, my dad will beat up your dad. I'm like, okay. Wah.
And it's just him on the piano singing sweetly too.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not that metal.
Yeah. It'd be better. You know that song X by Poppy, where it's like it's a mix of.
I do kind of know. Yeah.
It'd be better if it was like that. That's a better song.
Poppy's got some good songs.
Yeah.
Shout out to Poppy.
Shout out
if you're
to
listening.
Poppy.
Say hi.
Yeah.
We'd love to
put a note in the comments. Thanks everybody. You're all wonderful.
And we'll see you soon.
Mm-hmm.
Hugs and kisses.
Bye.
Bye.
Work, Sky Moon.
This podcast has been brought to you by the Sonar Network.